Alright, so recording is active. Now, I just want to add on a little bit about for creating this particular shape. There's just a couple of things that I did not cover just now. Right, for example, for the cube itself, when we are transforming it into the sphere, right? Like two divisions here. Oops, too many divisions here. I will bring it down to 2. Right, there's a quicker way, right, to just bring the center values right to the top. So I'm going to add a deform, like as usual. Let me just move this one out of the way first and bring this back to 0 position. So this one should inflate. I'm going to get rid of this and do our deform and then sculpt again. Alright, then delete away the history. So Alt Shift D, Alt Shift D. Yeah, get rid of the history. Then make sure this is in the center, and when you go over to the vertex, right, rather than just moving it up after scaling this, right, after we scale it flat like that, let me go to wireframe. You can just use the snapping tool, right? Remember the grid snapping tool, hold down to X and then just grab it up, and then you can flatten everything. So that is a much faster way rather than manually scaling and bring it up. Alright, so just want to show this quickly. And another thing is, right, so this is the model that I've done. But problem is that if I go over to shaded view without the wireframes, if you take a look at the angle, right, there is still some, you see some what do you call it, pinching around here. So there are a couple of ways that you can fix this, and I'm going to show you now. You can use the sculpting tool. Right now, most of you won't use this sculpting tool that much, but the sculpting tool can be very useful to fix these issues. So to activate the sculpting tool, you can select in object mode, shift right mouse click and use sculpt tool. Right, no, when you're in sculpting mode, this is what your mesh will look like. You'll gray out with gray lines. And then you have a default. Okay, most of the time the default sculpting tool is if I were to paint on any intersection, right, you either pull or push in the mesh. And in this case, right, it might mess up your mesh like that. So that's not what we want. We want to use the other tool called the smooth tool. So if you go to the sculpting tab and you select the second tool, right, second tool on top, this one is the smooth tool. Right, so the smooth tool, right, same thing for the brush size. You can hold down the B, middle mouse click and drag left, right. Then you can paint over the intersection gently. Okay, right now the strength is a bit too strong. If the strength is too strong, double click on the tool over here and reduce the strength. I'm going to bring it down to maybe 4.8. And then you just click and drag. So as you click and drag, you see the smooth is a bit too aggressive. Let me reset. Bring it down to very, very small, maybe 0.8. Alright. So you can just click and release, click and drag over the intersection to smooth out this area. Right, just like that. Right. So that is one of the tools that you can use. Now, okay, I'm going to undo that. That's just to show you that you can use smooth to fix this. Now, another tool which you can use is you go down to component level, right, and pull out the vertex in the normal axis. Alright, so you go over to vertex, select the vertex, press W to move. But you'll notice that the vertex orientation, okay, I already switched it to normal already, but if you go on Control Shift and right mouse click, you must switch it over to component level. Control Shift, right mouse click, go to component level. So when you're in component level, you can select the individual vertex, and in order to edit it both sides, you also want to turn on symmetry, and this one is x-axis. Alright, so that I can pull the vertex out gently, right? So the other side will be pulled out as well. And then this one, just pull it out along the normal. Okay, this one is not. Okay, this one is actually mirroring the wrong one. Okay, let me turn this thing off. Then I have to do this individually. This vertex, I'll pull it out slightly. So you can use this to sort of like undent or get rid of the pinch this way, just by pulling it out along the normal. So this is one way, right, you can fix this kind of issues. Alright, and then this one here, I need it to come out a little bit more, so pull it out and then I'll work on the other side. So this is a fine tuning just to fix the surface. Right, just by pulling along the normal. So remember, to get this axis, you press Ctrl Shift right mouse click, then switch to component. By default, it's always in the world axis. So if you can move it along the world axis with the correct orientation, yeah, by all means you can do it that way, but it's much easier if you hold down the Ctrl Shift in component mode. Then you just pull it out along the normal axis, which is usually around this axis. Okay, and then I'm going to switch it back to world axis. Alright, so that's enough for this object right now. So let's move on to the next object that we want to model. So let me just open this scene over here. No, not this one. I believe it's the original one. Demo, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to another type of modeling method, that is to create this kind of surface. Alright, so this one involves the use of curves. Alright, you need to create a curve to draw a profile. So what does the curve look like? The curve right now is controlling the shape of this object. Let me go to wireframe mode, and you can actually grab the control vertex, and then as you change the position of the curve, right, you can change the shape of the profile that you are creating. So you can use this to create a lot of different shapes like that. Alright, so how do we use this? So let me start from a brand new scene. Go to the front view. First, start off with the front view. You want to draw the curve to form the profile first. Okay, so you can start from the bottom first, all the way up to draw the profile. Left or right doesn't matter. Just take note that when you are drawing the profile, make sure that the center line, you can see over here, this is the center line. So you start from either side. So what kind of curve you can draw? You can go and create. Okay, and then under curve tools, draw an EP curve. A EP curve is much easier to draw. Alright, so the curves, right, is under the curve tab. EP curve is the third tool over here. Alright, go to curve drawing mode. Alright, then start from the center here and start an establishing point first. Then left mouse click to create another point. Now, the curve, because this is a type of what I call it, Bezier curve or NURBS curve, if you click on another point, you can see that the curve will start to bend. So if you want to have a hard bend, right, you have to click the points close to one another. So right now what I'm trying to do is I want to create a wine glass. So I'll create the base first. Then I'll continue to draw vertically up like that. You can click and drag and then see how it affects click and drag to see how the curve is being affected. Then you can click and continue to draw. As you want to put in the control points, right, you can click and release, click and release. So make sure your two center vertex, right, is starting and ending in the center over here like that. Right. Okay, so once you're done, alright, you can press Q. Q to go to select mode. Alright. So once you're done, we have the profile. You can see that we still need to tweak our curves a little bit, but we can come back to that. Then to make it become a surface, we have to use the Revolve tool. Right, so make sure the curve is selected and then you can click on Revolve. Alright, so you can go to Surfaces and access the Revolve tool here as well. So we will start with Revolve, and then there you have your wine glass. We can inspect it in the perspective view. Alright, and you'll notice sometimes, right, you see all these black things. A black surface means that the point, right, the starting end point is not aligned in the center properly. So to fix that, we go back to our front view. And note that after Revolve, right, we have two objects. We have our curve, and then we have our revolved object. Okay, so how do we fix this? So go to wireframe, make sure you select the curve. Okay, click on the curve in the outliner to make it easier to select. Go to press 4 to go to wireframe. This is very important. Okay, make sure that you select the curve and not the surface. Otherwise, you're editing the wrong thing. And right mouse click close to it and choose Control Vertex. Right, now, you notice the control vertex is a little bit different than what you're used to in your vertex. So you notice that it is floating slightly above the curve, right? So this is the control vertex. So you can click on it to control the thickness and also change the position of your vertex. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my snapping tool, hold down to X, and snap it to the center. Okay, same thing for this starting point as well, hold down to X and snap it to the center. Drag and snap it to the center. So once I've done that, let me just tweak the profile a bit. Like this area here just looks a bit off. So there's an overlapping points like that. So this type of curve editor, right, if you're using it for the first time, it might take some time to get used to. But once you get a hang of it, right, it's actually quite easy to understand. And then this one, I can push it down so that the base is nice and rounded. And now I have a wine glass. Okay, and I can switch back to shaded view. Okay, so now can we use this? So what do we do with this now? How can we use this? Because you have to take note, this is a different type of object compared to what you guys have been playing with. So this is not a mesh object. This is known as a NURBS surface, NURBS. NURBS stands for non-uniform rational B-spline. So if you don't understand what that means, it doesn't matter. Okay, so most of the time, right, we will no longer be using, I mean, it is very common for people to use sub-D modeling versus surface modeling. Now for surface modeling, right, for this type of modeling, it is still used a lot in precision engineering modeling. Okay, for a lot of precision modeling, for modeling cars, for a lot of industrial use, right, NURBS is still the de facto modeling method. So, but since we are working with mesh, we are going to convert this into a polygon mesh. Alright, so how do I convert this to a polygon mesh? Now, please take note of the steps. So you have to go over to Modify, Convert. Okay, and you see there's so many options here. We are going to convert NURBS to polygons. Now, rather than clicking on this and let it convert, we will see what is the default value. Let me just reset these settings first. Right, and let me just modify, convert NURBS to polygons and see what it gives you. It gives you a mesh that is actually very hard to work with. Triangular faces and all over the place. So this is not the mesh that you want to work with. Alright, so I'll show you the correct settings that you should set. So go to Modify, Convert, NURBS to polygons, then click on this what do you call it, the option box. Alright, and then you want to change to quartz. You want to make sure all the faces are quartz. And I think we can switch to control points. Alright, quartz and then control points, and then tessellate. Okay, then we will end up with a mesh object looking like this. You will notice that, well, this doesn't look anything like this, but if you press number 3, to subdivide it, yeah, it looks almost the same. So this is a subdivided version of the mesh object, and you can go to face. You can easily modify it by extruding the face, anything you want with it. Alright, so it's much easier to work with. Alright, so after watching this, I want you guys to try to use this method not only to create a wine glass. You can use this method to create a wine bottle. You can create a vase. You can create almost anything. So imagine you want to create a spout. Okay, now I can grab this couple of vertices over here. Then I can pull it out. I can rotate this. Okay, I can make this into a spout. Then I can extrude the handle and put it on the side. Alright, so just to give you guys some ideas. Okay, so this is the next object that I want you guys to try to create. Alright, I'll stop the video now.